Good evening. This is a regularly scheduled meeting at Kettering City Council. Today's date is October the 27th, and as always, we'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin tonight's meeting, we'll pause for a brief invocation. Dear Lord, thank you for all who serve the Kettering community. Give us enthusiasm for our work and wisdom to make the right decisions. May we remain humble and grateful for the opportunity to lead. Guide this council so we may continue to serve our citizens with integrity and purpose, always remembering to be worthy of these responsibilities entrusted in us by our residents. Our Miami Valley Communication TV operator back, Mike Soproni. Mike, thank you as always. So we'll move on to approval of the minutes, October 13th, council meeting and workshop minutes. Mr. Lauder.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have reviewed the minutes, both of the council meeting and the workshop from October 13th. I find both in order, and I move for their approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Lauder?
Yes.
Mr. Wanamaker?
Yes.
Mr. Duke? Mr. Duke?
Just so you know, Mr. Duke is remotely, so that's why.
He said yes. Okay.
He did, yeah, there was a
Mr. Klepass?
yes.
Mrs. Fisher? Mr. Scott? Mayor Patterson?
Yes. Moving on to proclamations, Extra Mile Day. Mr. Klepass? Vice Mayor Klepass.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a proclamation this evening. Whereas the city of Kettering, Ohio is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when residents collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas the city of Kettering, Ohio is a community which encourages its residents to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas the city of Kettering, Ohio is a community which chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals and organizations within our community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members within our community. And whereas Extra Mile Day serves as a day to highlight the importance of service and the impact volunteerism has on the quality of life, not only in our community, but across the country. And Extra Mile Day serves as a day to join other cities across the nation to go the extra mile. Now, therefore, Donald E. Patterson, Mayor of the City of Kettering, Ohio, does hereby proclaim November 1st, 2020 to be Extra Mile Day in the City of Kettering and urges all citizens to take time on this day to not only go the extra mile in this or her own life, but also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitment to make their organizations, families, community, country, and world a better place. Signed this 27th day of October 2020, Donald E. Patterson, Mayor of the City of Kettering, Ohio.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Klepass. Next, we'll move on to a proclamation for National Arts and Humanities Month. Ms. Fisher.
Your Honor, I have a proclamation. Whereas the nation's 120,000 nonprofit arts organizations, the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Endowment for the Humanities, the nation's 4,500 local art agencies, and the Arts and Humanity Councils of the 50 states and the 6 U.S. jurisdictions have regularly issued official proclamations on the annual basis designating October as National Arts and Humanities Month. And whereas the arts and humanities embody much of the accumulated wisdom, intellect, and imagination of humankind and enhance and enrich the lives of every American. And whereas the cities and states through their local and state art agencies and representing thousands of cultural organizations, have celebrated the value and importance of culture in the lives of Americans and the health of the thriving communities during the National Arts and Humanities Month. And whereas the humanities help diverse communities across the United States explore their history and culture with the support and partnership of the National Endowment for the Humanities, and the 55 state and territorial humanity councils and the local educational and cultural institutions. And whereas the arts and cultural industry also strengthens our economy by generating $166.3 billion in the local total economic activity annually, $27.5 billion in government revenue, and by supporting the full-time equivalent of 4.6 million jobs. And whereas the creativity economy drives tourism and commerce, supports the American workers, and makes up 4.5% of the annual GDP, proposed federal legislative titled the CREATE Act and the PLACE Act would support economic development of the creative economy. Now, therefore, Donald E. Patterson, the mayor of the city of Kettering, does hereby proclaim October 20 to be Arts and Humanity Month in the city of Kettering and urges all citizens to celebrate and promote the arts and culture in our nation to encourage local participation of arts and humanities within our community. Signed on this 27th day of October, 2020. Donald E. Patterson.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation titled State of the Arts video.
We've all been asked to show you what we've been up to during this COVID quarantine isolation time. Primarily, we've spent time in our yard, so I'm going to show you some of the projects that we worked on.
As an artist, working during a pandemic means working with what you have.
I've got it set up in my class today. We're gonna do some painting, we're gonna do some clay, and we're gonna keep making art because that's what we do in Kettering.
I have a studio here inside of Rosewood where I make clothing, costumes, period clothing is my favorite.
Under the leadership of Rosewood Art Center, this year's Art on the Commons was transformed into a digital festival that not only supported artists across the nation, but produced content with various artists and how-tos that have kept Kettering engaged with their public.
Let me introduce you to my friend Lynn. So she and I have been together for the past few months, and we've been able to create music together, and it's just been really therapeutic for me.
We have just been enjoying adult coloring books and painting and playing our musical instruments in the house.
One of the things I love about Kettering is our public art. I'm lucky to live near the Shantz Bridge, and whenever I go by, I think what a wonderful and amazing entrance that is to our city. Another new piece of public art is our Be Ambitious, and since the artwork is in the sidewalk, it's always available to enjoy, allowing the kids and adults to get out to play Kettering.
Art in any form that you take up supports and helps you get through tough times.
And this is really the core of Kettering. It is the heart of Kettering, where the arts have a home and have the space to offer a variety of classes for everyone, from elementary children to senior citizens.
I just have to tell the citizens of Kettering how fortunate they are to have such wonderful people working at Rosewood, and it just enriches the city. It makes it more of a place to live and create and imagine, and we're very fortunate.
Art is so important for our community, and I'm using one of my favorite subjects, a building in Kettering.
Go Rosewood. Go art! Yay, the arts in Kettering! Woo.
Your Honor,
Yes.
will the residents who watch this be able to hear it better than we could hear? Will that be amplified?
Yes, he's saying yes in the back.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. That was nice. That was, it's been a strange year, and it was nice to see that our Arts Council is still enthusiastic and out there promoting the arts. And congratulations to the folks that put that together for us to look at here, so, as well as our residents at home to view this. So next, we'll move on to public hearings, which we have none. Public comment on legislation. Okay. Anyone wishing to speak before council with comments or new information about legislation on tonight's agenda may do so at this time. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Speakers must state their name and address. Comments should be addressed to council. If you have comments that are not about legislation on tonight's agenda, there will be an opportunity for those to be heard later in the meeting. Is there anyone that has comments about items on the agenda, legislation? Okay, if not, we'll move on to ordinances in second reading. We have none, so we'll begin with resolutions. Vice Mayor Klepass.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement to provide public safety dispatch services to Miami Township, requested by the police department. I move for its approval.
Second.
Mr. Schwederman.
Thank you, Your Honor. This resolution will authorize us to enter into an agreement with Miami Township for police dispatching services. It's anticipated that that agreement would become effective and the services would start at the beginning of 2022. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Schwederman? Being none, call the roll, please.
Mr. Klepass?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Lauder?
Yes.
Mr. Wanamaker?
Yes.
Mr. Duke? Mayor Patterson?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution to make supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Kettering, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020. And the estimated cost that's going to be that transfer is $6,268,929.80. and there's none budgeted, and it's requested by a Finance Department, and I move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Schwederman.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have a number of items for tonight's supplemental appropriation for 2020. The first item is a supplemental of $3.6 million, which would be for the forgiveness of the loan made to the Kettering Medical Center for the construction of the walkway related to the creation of the Comprehensive Cancer Center on the campus at Kettering Health Network. Kettering Health Network has met all of the requirements of the forgivable loan that were entered into at the time of construction. The building's completed, the bridge is completed, and the number of jobs have been met. So at this time, we intend to enter into or forgive the note of $3.6 million, which necessitates this supplemental. Also, we have a supplemental for the State Highway Fund for the Far Hills Avenue project. This supplemental is $283,360. The bids have come back for the Far Hills project, and the budget is exceeded by $276,360, of which only $55,272 is the city's share. We also have a $7,000 appropriation for the replacement of a 12-inch pipe for the strip drains that are on Far Hills Avenue. So during the replacement of those, we found some damaged items and need repair. We also have a rather large supplemental appropriation for our special grants and programs for the CARES Act funds that the city has received. We'll be appropriating $2.3 million for the Phase 2, what I'm calling Phase 2 and Phase 3 distributions from the CARES Act. We will also be appropriating the interest that has been earned with those associated funds. As mentioned previously, the CARES Act funds are accumulated in a special revenue fund, and revenue and expenditures for that, for the CARES Act, need to be appropriated and spent out of that fund. We also have an additional appropriation for the CARES Act fund for the interest on the initial distribution as well, and that is only $62, but is included in your legislation. And finally, we have a special grants and program supplemental appropriation of $15,000 to reclass a previous appropriation that we brought before City Council. That appropriation for an OVI task force grant was appropriated to the other fund of special grants and programs, and should have been classified in the law enforcement category. So tonight we are simply just moving the funds from one to the other. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Schwederman? Being none, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Lauder?
Yes.
Mr. Wanamaker?
Yes.
Mr. Duke? Mr. Klepass?
Yes.
Mayor Patterson?
Yes. Moving on to ordinances in first reading, we have none this evening. Certifications and petitions. Ms. Kozinski.
Your Honor, we do not have any certifications or petitions this evening.
Thank you. City Manager report and community update. Mr. Schwederman.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have just a few slides for you this evening. The first is just to help make our Kettering public aware that Montgomery County, through their CARES funds, has a utility relief program, and our residents can apply to the county for those funds if they meet the requirements. The deadline for those applications is November the 13th, and they can go to the county's website at www.mcohiocares.org. Our leaf pickup is underway right now, and our crews are currently in District 7. We again ask our residents to rake the leaves adjacent to the curb. They do not have to be in the street. And we ask that they only rake leaves out there, not other debris or brush. Those items can be taken to our yard debris center on Woodman Center Drive. We are operating our leaf hotline right now at 296-2472, so you can call that number to see which district we're currently in. Medicare open enrollment is continuing from now through December the 7th. And once again, Vicki Carrier over at the Kettering Connection is assisting residents by appointment with Medicare open enrollment. And you can contact Vicki at 296-3333. 3-0. Beggars Night will be this Saturday, October 31st from 6 to 8. We ask our residents who are participating to be safe, and our households who are participating to use their lights at their residence to let the kids know that they're open for business on Beggars Night. So again, we ask everyone, encourage everyone to be safe, and it starts at 6 p.m. on October the 31st. And later that night, we'll remind everybody that it is fall and it's time to turn your clocks back an hour, starting on November the 1st for daylight savings time. Your Honor, that's all I have for you tonight for community update. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Sweeterman? Thank you. Next, we'll move on to audience participation. Point in the program. If you'd like to come speak before council, please come on down to the podium. We do have a 5-minute limit, and we need your name and address. Okay, we'll move on to council committee reports. Vice Mayor Klepas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple things tonight. On October 16th, on behalf of the mayor and council, I presented a letter of congratulations from the city to Pastor Art McGuire, who is the pastor at Joshua Christian Ministries over on Bigger Road. They were being acknowledged for their 20th year in Kettering on Bigger, and as a sidelight, it was also a pastor's birthday. So we had a double congratulations to them and wish them quite well in their operation over on Bigger Road. And I do want to mention that I have this mask. It says, "Together we can stay safe," from your friends, City of Kettering Community Development Division. Last Saturday, quite a few of us, as part of Make a Difference Day activities, went out to several churches in Kettering. Because of the weather, not because of the quality of this mask, we had more folks from council and from our community development area than we did have people that came to get masks. But we have plenty of these that are going to be passed out quite often through the city. So keep your eye out for these masks. And last but not least, locally owned businesses recycle a much larger share of their revenues back into the local economy, which enriches the whole Kettering area. So keep that in mind, you know, as we help out our locally owned businesses as they struggle through this pandemic and shop Kettering business. That's all I have.
Ms. Fisher.
So I just want to uplift Mary Lou Randolph for putting together the Make a Difference Day, and also give looking forward, the volunteers are going to be acknowledged at our next drive-through event here in a couple of weeks, and so I'm betting you might see those masks again. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Mayor Patterson. Just a reminder, Tuesday is Election Day. I am a big advocate of people voting. No matter how they vote, you should vote. I voted today at the Board of Elections in downtown. It was a very quick process, despite what the media is saying. I was through in about 20 minutes. So it was very, and I see Vice Mayor Klepas is wearing his little sticker. You get a free sticker after you get done voting, but it was safe. They take all the precautions, so certainly advocate for anyone that wants to early vote or certainly vote on Election Day. So just a reminder on that, and to talk about here locally, here in Montgomery County, how the Board of Elections is operating. Secondly, I'd like to echo what Vice Mayor Klepas said. Our local businesses are feeling the hard-hit pinch of this. It's what I do every day in my full-time job, and you know, restaurants are hurting because of their limited capacity. So when you're thinking about getting a carry-out or purchasing a gift or whatnot, always look for a local business here in Kettering and shop Kettering. I would echo Vice Mayor's comments. So thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Lauder.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would echo the comments about local businesses, and in fact, several of us last week on Thursday the 22nd, we had a ribbon cutting for a new business in Kettering, Little York Pizza over on Dorothy Lane. I think it's 3131 East Dorothy Lane. And as the mayor always says, people have a choice where to establish their business, and we're glad people are still finding locations in Kettering to do that. And I would echo everyone's comments about our volunteer office and the efforts of passing out masks. Masks make a difference, so please wear yours.
Mr. Wanamaker.
I have no report tonight, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Just a few, oh, Bruce. Out of sight, out of mind, isn't that what they say? All right, just a couple things. Follow up on what Mr. Lauder said, Little York Tavern, small business. He's a graduate of Fairmont, so he was coming home to bring that business to the area here. So we wish him the best over on Dorothy Lane. So we talked about Make a Difference Day, and we do have a few of those masks. It's not the same as having a shovel and a rake in your hand and raking up people's yards and making their property look better. But hopefully next year we'll be able to say that the meeting afterwards. But hats off to Mary Lou for putting all this together. The sites were staffed by volunteers. I know most of us on council were at some, if not all, the sites, stopped by and thanked the people. So thank them for coming out and standing in that. While it wasn't raining, it was a pretty cold, miserable day. So thank them for doing that. Other than that, I just really have a couple acknowledgments. First to Mark Martin, who is the new school board member that is replacing Julie Gilmore after 23 years. Mark is the executive director of manufacturing for the Community Tissue Services here in Kettering. Mark's married to his wife, Jennifer. They have 2 sons, both graduated from Fairmont. So congratulations to Mark. I know all of us on council look forward to working with him. He's done a number of things for a long time in this community, coached various sports, been involved with Girl Scouts, and he's a community involved type person. And I think he'll do a great job for the school board over there. So congratulations, Mark. Also, or finally, a shout out to Dottie Harmer for her 100th birthday at Lincoln Park Manor. She's celebrating her birthday this week, and she worked for American Airlines for 26 years. Retired from there, and she wasn't done yet, and she worked in the Kettering Hospital gift shop. So congratulations to Dottie on your 100th birthday. So with that, our next regularly scheduled meeting is November the 10th, and with that, we stand adjourned.
Tony and I got the workout. Have to do both resolutions and proclamations.
I like it.
I wish you would have done the proclamation.
Done in about.
I would have preferred you doing it.